Hi everyone, it's Diana.
I'm Nick.
And we are Team RCIA, and it is all things RCIA with Team RCIA. We have been meeting the last 2 or 3 days, coming up with a plan to solve a problem.
We spend 2 or 3 days about every quarter, except it got weird during pandemia. But usually we go away for a little business retreat to kind of, as Diana said, come up with a plan. But this is kind of a different meeting for us than usual.
And so we've been thinking about how when we started, each of us individually started doing RCIA ministry on our own, how did we get trained to do that ministry well? And I know I floundered and I did a lot of stuff that I know
me too.
would not fly today.
Because the problem was, especially when I was starting out, I started out a little earlier than Diana, but there wasn't any place to get training, really. There was, and the few things that you could find, you sort of had to scrape together, and there was no internet when I started, so you had to go to the library and check stuff out, or you had to fly across the country to a workshop, or it just was really, really hard. And there were a lot of great workshops, some organizations that were doing some amazing work that got me trained, but it was sort of sporadic. I had to wait for the next workshop, and there was nothing sort of in between. And also, we also have grown as a church in our understanding of the initiation process. And so much of the training that I had received in that sporadic kind of way 25 years ago, really, there's so much more that we have understood and have to incorporate. And the big problem for me, I won't speak for Diana here, but the big problem for me was I just didn't feel confident that I was doing stuff right. It was sort of half made up and half what I could remember from the last place I heard something, and that contradicted somebody else. And it's just like I had this constant knot in my stomach that maybe I wasn't doing this the way it was supposed to be done.
Yeah. And a lot of times for me, I was kind of sort of doing the things in a sort of robotic, kind of really formal way, but I wasn't feeling like I was engaging in a real meaningful personal way with each of the people coming to me, because I was so afraid of doing the wrong thing. I just put everyone into the one kind of box and system that I felt really confident with, but it wasn't really serving each person's individual need.
I did that too, and one reason that I did that was the stress.
Yeah.
I just had this constant sort of buzz going on that I got another thing to do. I got to figure, and someone else would show up at the wrong time. What am I going to do with this person? And that tension that I felt, I'm remembering it now. My body's just tensing up. So for me, it was that lack of confidence that I was doing stuff right. It was like Diana said about, I wasn't really having meaningful encounters with people, and the stress. That's kind of the underlying or overarching, I'm not sure what the metaphor is, but this constant stress going on. Just, not that I didn't have a good time. It was a wonderful, it has continued to be a wonderful experience. That's why I still do this ministry. But in the beginning, there were some rocky moments.
Oh, well, gosh. So what we've been trying to do in these last couple of days at our meeting here for Team RCIA.
Tell them where we are.
Oh, well, speaking of rocky moments, I'll show you where we are. I'll turn this camera around, hopefully. Okay, so we
just told everybody what a rough life we're having.
We're in Cambria, California. Sorry, the window here is a little dirty, but it's been beautiful, and the first day was foggy, so we couldn't even see the ocean there. But the last couple of days have been sunny and clear, and this is the Pacific Ocean. So west coast, the left coast, the central coast of California, just where are we? Just south of San Simeon, Hearst Castle, William Randolph Hearst.
North of Los Angeles.
So anyways, we've been cooped up in here.
Cooped
Coming up.
We've been walking on the beach. We've been sitting on the balcony.
No, we've been working really hard. But so what we tried to do was to put together all of the years of experience that we've had, all of the mistakes that we've made, and see if we could come up with a systematic way for someone who maybe was volunteered into RCIA ministry, and you were a volunteer in the parish, and Father said you'd be great as the RCIA director, and you're like, huh, what? So we tried to figure out what kind of path could a person like that, or even a person who's had some experience or lots of experience, what kind of comprehensive, systematic process of training can they do? And so we started brainstorming, and in the comments I'll put up some pictures of the iterations of our brainstorm so you can see how this has gone. But we came up with a possible plan that we're going to give you a preview of right now.
This is still in the brainstorming stage, so but it's kind of rough looking, but we're excited about it.
So we thought the three big needs for a person who's doing RCI ministry would be to feel confident that they are working with a process in their parish that is flexible enough for each person, but really is comprehensive and substantial, and it really draws that person to become a lifelong disciple, not just a Catholic, but a lifelong disciple. The second problem.
The second thing we want to try to solve with this systematic process is to give in this formation process, we should have space to have meaningful encounters. That's the whole point. We're training people to go out into the world to be meaningful presences of Christ to each other, to folks in the world who don't know Christ. And so we should be doing that inside our processes. So a lot of, the majority of what should be going on in our processes are these meaningful encounters that lead people to discipleship. And so that's another key piece that we want to have here.
And then the third big problem area that we saw RCIA ministers encountering was the sense that they had to do everything. They had to do all the teaching, all of the initiating, all of the planning, everything themselves. And then they were being told you have to do it all year long. And that is way stressful. And so how do we help people find a way to provide that comprehensive formation without all of that stress, without making it so that they're relying just on themselves or their team members, and then team members burn out? So how do we give people a low stress way to really do RCIA ministry well? And so this is what we came up with, and I'll turn this camera around again. Here we go. All right, don't get distracted by the beauty behind this poster paper. So let me see if I could just pan out here. Pan out, that movie term, pan out, so that you see this entire path here. And what Nick and I did, we put on Post-it notes, on sticky notes, every single thing we thought an RCIA minister would need to know. And I'm sure we've missed some stuff in here. And so if you
That's
find...
why it's on sticky notes.
Yes. So if you find anything that's missing, write it in the comments, let us know, or send us an email, team at Diana@teamrci.com or Nick@teamrci.com. But Nick, why don't you, while I'm doing the full picture here, do the kind of categories.
Well, this top section here, up to like this start here, is kind of foundational, and it's two halves of the foundation. But the whole thing is sort of the core of what we need to know. And this is a lot of what I was missing. And we go to a lot of workshops that have some how-to, but I didn't get a lot of this foundational stuff. And this first piece is it's all about mission. We have to keep that in mind all the time. It's all about mission. And then within the RCI itself, there are two key places in the right that tell us the principles and the structure of how we go about this mission. So we have to focus on the principles. We have to focus on the structure. We call them the pillars. And then we have to kind of understand how to implement the principles and the structure. And so that is a mystagogical itinerary. And we'll break apart in other resources what that means, but it basically means we're reflecting on the experience of Christ people have in the liturgy and in their lives. And so we have to understand, first of all, how to read how to read or write, how ritual happens, and we have to know the stages of conversion that people go through as they're encountering Christ. So that's all foundational. Then once we have that foundation, the process itself starts, and it starts with, this is another piece that I didn't really have when I started. What we're starting with is people come and they'll say, I want to be Catholic. And what they mean by that, you know this from your own experience, oftentimes there's so many layers below that. And if you really peel apart the layers, really they're saying, I have this wound, I have something that hurts, something that's wrong in my life, something I want to fix. I need more hope, I need more joy. So the very first thing is, that's that meaningful encounter stuff that Diana was talking about. We have to find a way to uncover and then start to heal their wounds. And Pope Francis says, this is all about the first proclamation, that Jesus Christ loves you and is standing by your side every day to heal you and save you, the kerygma. And this kerygma this is part of the low stress stuff. The kerygma we're not the only announcers of the kerygma. Our whole parish is a kerygma machine. And so we have to figure out how the entire parish evangelizes. And this is getting toward the how-to then. We have to understand adult learning principles. We have in Team RCIA 5 master questions that we ask all of our seekers based on these principles. And then we use those questions and these principles to discern the action of the Holy Spirit in that person. So that's all like how we start to implement the process. So once we've done that preliminary work with seekers in a meaningful way, in a meaningful encounter, then we start moving them into the parish, not into the RCIA team or the RCIA groups, but into the parish, where the parish is going to be an apprenticeship mentor to them. The way that we are parish is going to teach people how to be disciples. Sponsors are key to that, and we have to realize the difference, but this is part of our meaningful encounter up here, will help us understand the difference between uncatechized and catechized seekers. Their needs are very different. And ritually, the needs of the unbaptized and the baptized are very different. So we have to know those distinctions. And that moves us into really understanding catechesis. So we have to know the tasks of catechesis, the sources of catechesis, how we catechize through the structure of the liturgical year, because this is a liturgical process, and then how to do a catechetical session. So that's all kind of some moving into the how-to and the catechetical portion of the how-to. But, as I said, the RCIA is the rite of Christian initiation of adults. It's a ritual process. So we really have to understand rituals. So that's this next kind of curve here. The purpose of the rites, who the rites are for, and how to prepare them. We threw in here the minor rites because those don't get enough attention. We have to understand about dismissal, which is a ritual action, not a catechetical action. And we have to discern what the RCIA says about discernment for rites, so particularly paragraphs 42 and 120. We need to know the formation goals for the rites, especially the scrutinies, and we need to understand the key symbols of each rite. And then we have to know how the parish, again, this is not all on us, but rather it's the parish that kind of implements and celebrates these rites. So what's the parish role in all these rituals? And all this is grounded in and it is an expression of the Trinitarian nature of who God is and the mystery of who God is. And that's, again, stuff I didn't get in my early training, but it's what we're leading people to with the celebration of initiation, is that we're initiating them into this Trinitarian relationship. Very, very important that we get that clear and understand it in real ways that we can talk to the seekers about what that means, because it's where we started out. This is all about mission, and that's what that Trinitarian relationship is ultimately about, is immersing people into the mission of Jesus Christ. Then this is sort of, we've been calling these appendices, not that they're not important, but this is the main stuff. Then how do we take all this and apply it to baptize people, because this is primarily a path for the unbaptized. How do we adapt all this for baptized people? And how do we adapt it for children? And then this final little piece over here is stuff for leadership. So how do we plan for change? How do we form a team? And how do we deal with sticky, difficult things like annulments. So this is all sort of leadership stuff. So that's our big plan. And then I wrote down here we're gonna find some way to create fancy certificates if you survive the journey. But and this is all, as we said, still brainstorming. So it'll be a while before we get this all fully implemented. But we'll be doing pieces of it, launching pieces of it relatively soon, and then kind of eventually knitting all the pieces together.
Mm-hmm. And so much of all of this, really, when we realized all the many different things that we've come to discover that we had to learn ourselves, we've been trying to provide training throughout the last, 13, 14 years of Team RCIA, and all of these kinds of bits and pieces. And so much of the help that we provide is already up here and is already at the Team RCIA website. But what we wanted to do here was to create a really systematic pathway for ministers to get a comprehensive, full, not piece together, like duct tape together what we did
Smooth
in our
and
own
elegant.
life. Yeah, and so this is hopefully something that will come to fruition in a fully formed, elegant way for 2021, assuming the zombie
We survive the zombie apocalypse.
The
doesn't
zombie
happen.
apocalypse doesn't happen. But that's the work that we've been doing these last several days on behalf of you, the Team RCIA community, because we are so honored to be accompanying you in your ministry and work all year long. And so we're praying for you, and we're working for you, and hopefully this will come to serve you in some way in the coming year.
All right, everyone. We hope that you're staying safe. In California, anyway, the coronavirus has surged. There's a curfew, and we're in purple level, whatever that means. It's worse than where we were. So we hope that it's better where you are, and if it's not, stay safe.
Yeah. So thank you. We're praying for you, and hopefully you pray for us. And thank you for everything you do.
God
Okay.
bless. Bye-bye.
Bye.